Well, everybody, we have another Apply With Me video, and today we're going to be applying to the Chase Inc. Business Cash Card. Let's get into it. So with full transparency, the number one reason I'm applying for this card is because of the sign-up bonus, and I want to accumulate even more Chase points because right now they are offering up to $750 in cash back, which it does equate to 75,000 Chase points if you have something like the Business Preferred card as well as the CSP and the CSR. And one of the things that happens with business cards is that to reach that minimum spend for those sign-up bonuses, it's usually a lot higher than something like a personal credit card. So with this one, the Chase Business Cash Card does allow you to have two different thresholds. So the first one's going to be 35,000 Chase Ultimate Reward points after you spend $3,000 in the first 3 months, and they give you an additional 40,000 Chase Ultimate Reward points after you spend $6,000 in the first 6 months. So they do give you a long time to actually get that minimum spend. So you're essentially dealing with about $1,000 a month to reach that 75,000 minimum spend. But they are marketing this as cashback unless you have one of those cards that I mentioned earlier, which allows you to then transfer them out and use them as Chase Ultimate Reward points, because that's how Chase actually rewards these to you, and then eventually you can redeem it for cashback. So another reason why I'm actually applying for this card over, let's say, the Chase Inc. Preferred card is because this is a zero annual fee card, and as of right now, I don't need the Preferred card in order to actually change these points from cashback to actually transferable points for airlines to redeem for business class travel, or to things like Hyatt to be able to stay at the Hyatt hotels, essentially for free. Now, in terms of spending categories for a zero fee card, it is kind of competitive depending on what you're going to use this for. But again, this is a business card. So what they're going to be focusing on is 5% cashback on your first $25,000 to spend per year on office supply stores, internet, cable, and phone services. So for the most part, this is going to be the card that I'm going to be using to pay for my phone and my internet. I don't have cable because I use YouTube TV, but that kind of falls into the internet world. So that's what I'm going to be using as a kind of recurring purchase every single month on this card itself. Because outside of that, I do have other cards for other spending categories like dining and rent and miscellaneous. So some other categories that fall under this is you do get 2% cash back on the first $25,000 to spend at gas stations as well as restaurants. So as I mentioned, I do use maybe my Amex Gold or even my Chase Sapphire Reserve card for dining, because it does give you 3x and 4x respectively with those other two cards, which is better than that 2% cash back. And then you also do get gas stations, but I drive an EV, so I'm not really at gas stations at all anymore. So that's something to consider. But again, for a zero fee card, if you are getting this as a business card and it's one of your only cards, then these are great spending categories. And then also, since this is a business card, if you do use Chase as a business account for a business checking and business savings account, then you also get a one-time 10% bonus of everything that you've accumulated from a Chase Ultimate Reward Point standpoint at the end of the year. Now, this does exclude the actual sign-up bonus, but let's say you were able to earn about 100,000 Chase Ultimate Reward Points. You'll then be rewarded 10% of that, which is an additional 10,000 points after your first anniversary year as a kind of thank you for signing up for both the card and the business checking account, which is something that I personally do not have. So like I said, I'm probably getting this mostly for that sign-up bonus so I can get a nice little kind of chunk of change when it comes to Chase Ultimate Reward Points. And if I'm going to be spending that money anyway, it's always good to be able to kind of maximize that to have the Chase Ultimate Reward Points, which is the best in my opinion when it comes to travel redemptions. And the final thing I want to bring up before we get into the actual application process is some of the kind of data points that I use. I'm sitting around the mid 700s when it comes to credit score, so that is a credit point for you guys to take into consideration. But I did recently refinance my card to kind of reduce that rate because I was able to find a much better rate in a much shorter time. So this actually is happening right after that. So I do have a hard inquiry that hit my account about 3 weeks ago now at this point, which is something to consider when I do apply for this. And I'm also applying for this card with my personal social security number as a sole proprietor, as opposed to an actual business with an EIN. So that is something to take into consideration, that anybody that makes any side income, whether it is $1, $10,000 or $1 million, if you have some sort of side hustle, whether it is maybe selling things on eBay or on Etsy or making YouTube videos like this one, you're able to apply as a sole proprietorship for a business credit card account with your basic social security number, and you do not need a kind of formal LLC to actually apply for this card. So without further ado, let's get to the computer and apply for this thing. So alright everybody, I'm already signed into my Chase account, and you can see that the first kind of recommendation for me to get a new business card is going to be that Inc. Business Cash. It's basically $6,000 over a 6-month span in order to meet that sign-up bonus, which is relatively doable with normal spending. So again, make sure that this is going to fall under your normal spending, or you have a big purchase coming up, and not just blindly do this in order to just get the sign-up bonus. But let's go through this right here. It gives you a recap of everything that you need to know. It's going to be under the same existing business, which I already have, because I already do have a business Inc. card, which is, I believe, the Inc. Unlimited card, which gives you 1.5% cash back on everything, which is kind of my catch-all Chase card. So I'm going to blur some of this out and kind of fill this all in. All right, so once everything is filled in on top, you get that basic information. We're going to press submit here, and let's see what happens. So this is a part that's always very nerve-wracking, and I kind of want to see if that credit hard inquiry early on does really affect this kind of situation for applying for the credit card, but let's see what happens. Huzzah. And it looks like we did get it, everybody. So credit line $5,000, the variable APR doesn't apply to us because we will be paying this in full at the end of the month every single month. I'm going to agree to everything, agree and continue, and now it looks like this thing is coming in the mail, so that's awesome, and we did get approved for it. Now let's finish up the video. I don't know why I get so nervous every single time we do apply for one of these cards, because so far we have a perfect track record with Chase, and I believe that's on my 5th or 6th Chase credit card over the span of about 3 years, so it's always awesome to kind of add a new credit card and we'll be able to reach the sign-up bonus. So now what I'm going to do is move all my spend over to that card until we do reach that minimum spend, and then I'll reevaluate and kind of put everything else at the different cards where we get the most value when it comes to point redemption categories. But that's going to do it for this video, everybody. Let me know with a comment down below what you think. Is this a card that maybe you would want to add? I wouldn't recommend this card to anybody that's just kind of starting off. There are much better cards like the Chase Sapphire Preferred right now, which has a 75,000 point sign-up bonus after you spend, I believe, $3,000 or $4,000 over a span of 3 months, which I believe is the best starter card because it's only $95 annual fee. But if you are somebody that's already kind of collected some personal Chase cards, even some business cards, and you just want some easy access to some more Chase points without having to pay an annual fee, going to one of the zero fee annual cards from Chase on the business side is always a great way to go. But like I said, that's going to do it for this video. If you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. And let me know in the comment down below what other videos you want to see, because we are back making some more content on this channel. Peace, everybody.